Right now, I'm trying to kill this thing, but in 2 weeks, 1 billion people will invite him into their homes. Same god, so what's going on? This boss used to spray plague, and now he controls your bank account. That career change wasn't random. You have seen this visual language before. Lovecraft trained us to see tentacles and eyes and think cosmetic horror. Alien gods who don't care if we live or die. So your brain categorized this boss as another Lovecraftian nightmare, random, chaotic, unknowable. But look at what it's actually doing. Welcome to the channel and decode with me. In Western mythology, the god of wealth is blind. Zeus blinded Plutus on purpose, so he can't tell good from bad. Wealth fall randomly. But this boss, giant, bloodshot, very awakened eye. In this system, wealth isn't luck, it's surveillance. This eye doesn't search for truth. It counts your money. It knows what you have, where you hide it, and it's always watching. Not to give, to collect. The Western fears being overlooked by luck, the East fears being seen by power. And that's just the surface. Here's the thing. This boss, he used to be a god of plague. Zhao Gongming, wonderful 5 executor heaven sent to spread fatal disasters. Career change from plague to banking sounds random, right? It's not. In ancient agriculture society, only 2 things behave like virus: plague and sudden wealth. Both liquid, they flow everywhere. Both contagious when person infection spreads. Both have high mortality rate. So when he threw gold coin at you, he was not rewarding you. He's infecting you. And here is the weirdest part. Right now, you are fighting this guy, trying to kill him. But in a few weeks, 5th day on the Lunar Chinese New Year, hundreds of million people will open their windows, light firecrackers, and literally invite him into their homes. We wrote out welcome mats for a formal plague god. The whole country goes red for him. Why? Because that's apparently the one day when the cosmic system reboots and you can mess with your luck settings. But that's the whole other video. Right now, let's look at the physics behind how this boss actually fights. Most players look at this boss and see magic. But Chinese fantasy doesn't really do random magic. It's more like physics with different rules. Take the color scene. Why is this boss called black and see black? In a 5-element system, black represents water. And here is the principle for Feng Shui. Mountain control health, water control wealth. Makes sense when you think about it. Water flows the lowest point, seep into everything. Can lift a boat or sink it. That's basically how capital moves. Watch what's happened in a fight. He throws gold. That's metal. Gold hits the ground and he gets more aggressive. Because in a system, metal feeds water. So every coin he's throwing, that's not treasure, it's fuel. The more money left on the battlefield, the more he drowns you in attacks. You are not fighting a rich god. You are fighting the flow of wealth itself. And it gets weirder. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This boss looks like the black wealth god from the Tibetan Buddhism. And on the surface, the game nails the aesthetic. The stocky build, the flaming red hair, and the fire erupting from his back. In original mythology, the black wealth god is supposed to be the compassionate towards the lower classes. A quick-acting deity who helps with the poverty and side income. But look closer. The game does something clever. It shows you what happens when someone pretends to be a god. The authentic black wealth god is usually depicted naked. That's intentional. It symbolizes the purity, detachment, no clinging to the worldly thing. He comes and goes freely. But this boss had to toe armor, gold crown, covered in ornaments. He's not God who transcends desire. He's someone who can't let go of wealth and status. A mortal drowning in his own greed, cosplaying as divinity. He is holding a kapala. A skull ball in Buddhism is supposed to represent wisdom and compassion. a sacred vessel used to subdue demons. But his kapala is leaking. There is this eerie vitality constantly oozing out of it. That's no blessing. That's corruption. The accumulation sins and stolen wealth of the people literally overflowing. Look at what he's carrying. A golden whip. That belongs to Zhao Guangming, the legitimate martial god of wealth. It's supposed to ward off evil and protect assets. A Ruyi scepter. That is stolen from the civil gods of wealth like Li Guizu and Bi Gan. It's supposed to be symbolized smooth fortune. And on that Ruyi, an eye has grown. Not as a mythical third eyes of enlightenment, like Lang Shen, but a greedy, bloodshot eye fixated on money. And that eye has power. It bewitched people desperate for wealth, turning them into those bronze puppet attackers you're fighting during the boss battle. Gold vases, ingots, treasure piles, and treasures. He grabbed every sacred tool from every wealth god he could find and strapped them to himself. This isn't a god, it's a cargo cult. He is a mortal who looked at all symbols or divine wealth, stolen them, rolled them like a custom, and declared himself holy. Then I want it all approach. And the result isn't divine power. It's a Frankenstein monster of religious symbols, a four-way pileup of contradictory iconography. He doesn't understand what any of those tools mean. He just knows they are associated with wealth, and he holds them like wealth. Alright, we have covered the theory. Now let's talk about your actual apartment. If you're interested in this stuff beyond just the game lore, here are 2 quick things you can check in your own place. Think of it as debugging your environment. First, your front door. Stand at your entrance and look straight ahead. If you can see direct through a window or back door with nothing in the way, that's what Feng Shui calls 穿堂煞. The idea of this energy of qi flows into space and immediately flow right back out. There is no turbulence to slow it down, so it can't settle. It's kind of like trying to fill a bathtub, but the drain is wide open. Why should you care? Because that means money comes in and leaves just as fast. Can't accumulate. Simple fix is to put something in the sight line, a room divider, a bookshelf, or even a large plant. Just something to break up the street slot and slow down the flow. And number 2, the wealth corner. From your front door, look at the diagonal corner of your room. That's basically where airflow naturally slows and settles. The dead zone in fluid dynamics terms. And you have got a trash can sit there? Well, the symbolism isn't great. Try to putting a bowl there instead, with some loose change, some rice, whatever. Does it magically make you rich? Probably not, but it works as a psychological anchor, a visual reminder in your space that says, this is where value accumulates. Same principle as the eye constantly tracking assets. So you are just creating a photo point for your own attention. Anyways, that's the black god of wealth, plague to prosperity, symbol without understanding, the eye that always watches. And very soon, you are going to need him on your side. The Chinese New Year is coming in February, and there's a specific day when the cosmic system crashes, the 5th days protocol. I'll be covering how it works, why this plague god gets invited in, and whether the window is still open. If you want to know more, stay tuned.